I call this meeting of the Student Senate to order. Thank you everyone for bearing with us. We had some technical difficulties with our captioner, so this video will not be live captioned, but within 48 hours there will be a caption uploaded for accessibility's sake. So once again, thanks everybody for sticking with us. First item on the agenda will be swearing in. So if we could have Vice President Gumbs come up, and followed by all of the appointees from last meeting.
All right, please raise your right hand, and if you accept at the end, please respond with "I do." So, do you hereby swear that you will faithfully serve the students of Wichita State University, act in accordance with the Constitution of the student body, fulfill all duties and responsibilities of the office in which you are about to enter, and to the best of your ability, preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the student body of Wichita State University? I do. Thank you.
All right, as they get settled in, we can move into the next item, which is roll call. The clerk will call roll.
Senator Glenn.
Here.
Senator Martin.
Here.
Senator Deegan.
Sorry, for all of our new members, it just occurred to me that you may not have interacted with the microphones before. So you press the little face of the person with the stuff coming out of it. You press that once, there's going to be a red light beside it. You'll see a red light on the ring of your microphone. That means it is live. And then when you're finished speaking, just tap it once and it'll turn off. So, yeah.
Senator Martinez. Senator Thompson.
Present.
Senator Kuntz.
Here.
Senator Barry.
Here.
Senator Sangu.
Here.
Senator Kirk.
Present.
Senator Warden.
Here.
Senator Cockrell.
Here.
Senator Balaji.
Present.
Senator Venkatesha.
Here.
Senator Lesnick.
Present.
Senator Amborski,
Here.
Speaker Tubak,
Here.
Senator Bastian,
Here.
Senator Lane,
Present.
Senator Sandy,
Here.
Senator Kennedy,
Present.
Senator Rafter,
Here.
Senator Grimes,
Here.
Senator Fox,
Here.
Senator Brantley,
Here.
Senator Tarver, Senator Kohler, Senator Short,
Here.
Senator Perkins,
Here.
Senator Mosqueda,
Present.
Senator Majors,
Here.
Senator Sawardi,
Here.
Senator Dix,
Present.
Senator Abdulaziz,
Present.
Senator Spencer, Senator Owens,
Here.
Senator Madison,
Here.
Senator Hoops,
Here.
Senator Gallegos,
Here.
Senator Harris,
Present.
Senator McCrory,
Here.
Senator Angleton, Senator Crane, Senator Williams,
Here.
Senator Unruh,
Here.
Senator Wassinger.
Here.
There are 38 senators present, 20 is simple majority, and 2/3 is 26.
Thank you, Clerk Bridge. So now we move into the next item, public forum and presentations. Public forum provides a chance for individuals to have the privilege of speaking before the Senate. This is a time for the association to listen to what the community has to say. And to that, we offer our undivided respect and attention. I would like to remind everyone that, although we allow the speakers the privilege to use this platform, the opinions of the speakers do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the association or the university. Is there anyone here wishing to speak in public forum? Seeing none, we'll move into the next item, approval of the minutes. There was a concern brought to me previously that was amended in the minutes Senator Balaji brought up, so that has been corrected. Are there any other concerns with the minutes? Seeing none, they will be approved as sent. Next, we will move into introductions and reports. Item A, report from the student advocate.
Hello, everyone. For those of you I haven't met, my name's JD Chauncey, and I'm currently serving as the student advocate. I did a presentation on kind of what my role is at the Senate retreat, but another part of that is coming here once a month to give you a report on kind of the cases I've been taking care of and other things I'm working on. This is a little different because I've been working all summer and you guys just started meeting. So currently there are 7 cases open, but over the summer there were 37 different cases that went through the Maxient system, a majority of those being about academic appeals as well as parking. There were also about 5 cases concerning housing, and that doesn't include quick one answer questions that people would call or walk in and ask. Aside from student cases, I'm currently working on with student affairs on an initiative to get legal services available on campus. I'm planning an awareness week for issues surrounding Title IX and everything that it covers. I'm serving on the search committee for the new Title IX coordinator because Sarah Zafar has left the university, as well as serving on the Parking and Transportation Advisory Board and chairing the task force on university ethics. A quick side note, Food for Fines is next week, September 1st through 3rd. So if you or any of your friends have received parking tickets in these first couple of weeks, that's a good way to be able to take care of those. And if anybody has any questions, feel free to let me know.
Are there any questions for the student advocate? Seeing none, thank you. We can now move into the next item, item B, report from the executive branch, Vice President Gumbs.
All right, good evening, everyone, once again. So for our executive cabinet report today, couple updates. Diversity Week is on the roll, so please remind that's happening September 13th to the 17th. And once again, we encourage all senators and all members of SGA to attend the events throughout the week. We also had our organization appropriations meeting this weekend, which was chaired by our Budget and Finance Chair and our Treasurer. We are working with Dr. Provines, Dr. Han, and Dr. Rogers in regards to Suspenders for Hope, bringing it into the classroom. So that is just furthering more awareness of suicide prevention. We also are moving forward with our insurance proposal as well. More correspondence doing in our community outreach plan as we continue to work on food insecurity, and also with our connections with community partners and those on the state level as well. And as well, our Parking and Transportation Advisory Board met this week, and so your parking issues are being addressed for sure. And lastly, one important thing I want everyone to remember, the State of the Student Body is slated for next week, Wednesday. It will be a day of events. So we will start off with donuts and coffee at the North Patio at the RSC. And that will start from 7:30 a.m. to 9:30 a.m. We will also have free Kona Ice at 3 p.m. And then the official State of the Student Body will start at 7 p.m. right here in this room. Attendance for senators and other members of SGA is mandatory, so please be prepared for this event at 7 so you don't have to come as early. And also I sent out a mass email throughout this week requesting volunteers for the various events throughout the day. So please sign up for these events. And yes, so if you have any other questions, feel free to ask.
Are there any questions? Okay, seeing none. Thank you very much. Next, we're going to move into item C, committee reports. So I suppose we can just start down the line. If Senator Kirk, you want to give your committee report.
Good evening, everybody. Our committee, the Budget and Finance Committee, started off with hitting the ground running really hard this past weekend. We had the organization appropriation meetings this whole weekend on Friday and Saturday. We went right into that, hearing from roughly between 30 to 34 groups, hearing everything that's happening on campus. It was an awesome weekend. Going further from that, we had our first committee meeting yesterday, talking further about the decisions that have been made, and then what to continue looking forward to, what is going to be coming down the pipe with student fees, stuff like that for our committee. Furthermore, talking to my pro temp and talking to my clerk, having all the expectations of what is coming into our committee. Tomorrow, the more budget requests will be open for organizations and stuff to be able to request. So getting our committee ready for what else is happening within that. If there are any questions, I'm open for them.
Are there any questions? Okay, seeing none, thanks. Chairperson Martin?
right, so you're gonna have to forgive me, my laptop died like 5 minutes ago. I'm sorry. But essentially, I've focused more on team building this week, making sure that everybody was together, ready to go. I finalized the assembly of my committee, as well as how it's structured. We decided on pro tempore, and we finalized that and went ahead and wrote that up and sent it to the speaker. And then I also delegated responsibilities within my committee because my committee does have a very broad spectrum. So we thought it would be a little easier to break it up. And other than that, that pretty much summarizes the main force of our committee. We discussed issues, as I said, very broad spectrum, so we have a lot to talk about. And we will pursue those issues as the year continues. And for that, I'm open for questions.
Are there any questions? Seeing none, thank you very much. Chairperson Brantley?
Good evening, everybody. I am DEI Chair Marion Brantley, and so far my committee, we had our first meeting today, actually, right before this one, and we went over our goals for DEI and what we want to do. And this year, we want to focus more on identities, not ideas. So we're taking that approach to DEI this year. And as for what we have coming up, September 17th, we are hosting the Culture Shock event, which is just to end Diversity Week. So it's gonna be like where people are gonna come, do poems, spoken word, dance, sing, anything that represents their culture. So that's kind of what we have going on so far. Are there any questions?
Seeing none, thank you very much. Chairperson Perkins?
Hello, everyone. So this has been a busy summer, so I first want to talk to you guys just about the two key things that happened this summer, just so you guys have a little bit of background knowledge. So this summer I spent working with my fellow colleague of the kind of equivalent position in the executive branch, Hunter Manette, who's in the back here today, who's the Director of Legislative Affairs, and also our student body president and Speaker Tubach on meeting with all of our local representatives on the Wichita City Council and Sedgwick County Commission to start establishing some of those relationships, and we've started to set up those meetings with our representatives on the state legislature as well. So that should be a fun thing to do, continue to do this session. And also notably, we've started to establish the ICT Cross Campus Coalition, which will be with Friends University and Newman University as we try to advocate more effectively on behalf of the tens of thousands of students that are represented between our three associations. So I just wanted to highlight those two things because I think they're notable and impact all of us. But today we had our first Government Relations Committee meeting and it went really well. I've selected Senator Dallas Grimes to be my chair pro tempore, and I'm very excited to work with him. He reached out back in April to be the chair pro tem, so clearly he's shown a lot of determination and excitement for this position. But by and large, I'm really excited to work with this committee this session, and I've worked on a lot of projects this summer that I'm not going to bore you all with today, but if you're interested in more details, I'd love to talk to you about it, because anyone that knows me knows that I love to talk about government relations all day, every day. So thank you so much, and I'm excited to work with you all this session.
Thank you, Chairperson Perkins. Chairperson Majors?
Hello, everyone. To start off on a bad note, which is always a good idea, my committee unfortunately did not meet quorum today, so we were unable to move forward any of the many pieces of legislation that we do have pending. But the good news is we have a lot of pieces of legislation pending. So in terms of what we have coming to you all, hopefully in the next few weeks, we should have a bill that is restructuring the bylaws. We have a large constitutional bill that'll be coming relatively soon. One that you might be excited about is we have a bill to remove senator hours for you all, so maybe that's exciting. Other things that I'm working on, we have the Student Organization Council, which is a relatively new body this year, that'll be meeting, I believe, in 2 weeks, Gabe, if that's correct. And then once they meet, we'll be able to start transitioning the power of registered student organization primary review. However, we have not done that yet. So we do have a few organizations that you all may be seeing relatively soon in terms of accepting those organizations. Yeah, aside from that, we're looking into elections first. That's one of the first things that we're going to be doing. Yeah, if there are any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Are there any questions? Yes, Senator Bastian.
Why remove Senator Oz?
So I didn't write the legislation. I would defer my time to Speaker Tubak if you wanted to answer.
Yeah, so I think we can have that discussion when we reach that point in the legislation. So it's still in the Ways and Means Committee and has not been deliberated by them. They could amend the bill, but it could come back to the floor in a different sense. So we'll have that. We can have that discussion when the bill's on the floor. Are there any other questions? All right. Thank you. Yeah, we're going to go with Chairperson Thompson, and then Senator Brantley. Did you want to come? No? Okay, never mind. Chairperson Thompson.
And this is already on?
Yes.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Most of the work my committee and I plan to work on will become more of a topic item later on. But current project ideas are focused on academic advising, online learning and accessibility, course requirements for specific gen eds, et cetera, et cetera. I look forward to bringing more updates on those down the road. Also, we appointed Mackenzie Lane as our pro tempore clerk, so congratulations, Mackenzie. As for me, per my duties as academics chair, I sit on the faculty senate as a student senate representative. In the coming weeks, a proposal will hit the floor regarding adding an A+ to the grade scale here at Wichita State. I really hope to bring good updates on that in the near future as well. This week, the Faculty Senate hosted President Muma and Interim Provost Shirley Lefevre to update the faculty of the going-ons of the university. They reaffirmed the university's top priorities and devotion to providing need-based aid at every level. They also addressed updates from KBOR, including the lovely topic of deferred maintenance, the provost search, an innovation campus return on investment review, and new infrastructure projects such as the National Institute for Research and Digital Transformation, a health sciences and bioengineering project in partnership with KU Medical School Wichita, and even new Wichita State signage on 21st and Oliver. Thanks for listening, and I'm open for questions.
Are there any questions? Seeing none, thank you very much. To be clear, the reports of the committee chairs will be available on Shocker Sync for all of you to read. So if you have any more questions about that, you can look into those or email the committee chairs at their respective position emails. So, on another note, pro tempores can be selected in committee, and they will also have to be approved through the Senate. So any pro tempores I'll be receiving legislation, and then we will be voting on it. Probably not next week, maybe the week after. We'll see how it works. But that's because they're in the line of succession, and to do so, the Senate must approve them. So with that, we're going to move on to the approval of the agenda. Since there's nothing in the consent agenda, I will say that item A in the consideration of pending business has been tabled until next meeting, which will not be next week, but will be the week after because of an absence. So if there are no objections, the agenda will be approved as sent out. Okay, hearing none, we can move into the consideration of pending business. Item B, the clerk shall read.
SB-64-027, Student Body Vice President Camila Gums introduced the following. An act concerning the appointment of Josie Cadillo to the position of underserved senator.
Okay, and 1 second, guys. So since this was a tabled motion, I would now entertain a motion to take from the table. Senator Majors.
Motion to move this item from the table to the floor.
Is there a second?
Second.
Having been moved and seconded to take this item from the table, there's no discussion on a table, so we are going to go into the voting period. Your remote should all be programmed, but make sure to press A the first time, and make sure you kind of pause in between each A, and then you can vote. A is yes, B is no, C is abstain.
There are 6 people who have not voted yet. Please try your clicker one more time. Did you turn it on? Okay. How do you vote? How do you vote? If your remote is not working, just please put a thumbs up if you're voting yes, or a thumbs down if you're voting no. Wonderful, thank you. With that, there's 38 in favor, 0 against, 0 abstention, motion carries.
Thank you. So now the item is before us, and we have the author. Would the author wish to speak on the bill? All right.
Good evening once again. So for my nominee, Josie. So Josie also always had a strong passion for students, and she is also willing to represent, especially the underserved students in our constituency. She also has multiple years of SGA experience as well, so she knows how the system works. And she's also very willing to make sure that everything, the work that we do here at SGA and the work that she wants to do is done. She also is very full of passion, and her hard work and ethic will make her a great fit for this job.
Are there any questions for the author? Seeing none, thank you. Does the nominee wish to speak? Yes, okay.
Okay. Hello. For those who don't know me, my name is Josie. I was involved in student government when I was a freshman in 2016 as a LAS senator. And then in 2018, I ran with the revival ticket. Honestly, it runs together for me at this point. But anyways, I ended up becoming the student advocate along the way. So I served as a student advocate a few years ago now because of COVID and such. I wasn't involved in SGA, but I am excited to get back involved if I was appointed. I am a senior now. I'm majoring in social work and political science, as well as women's studies. And I think that's my bio. I'm also a member of Kappa Delta Chi Sorority Incorporated, which is a Latina-founded sorority. So as like an underserved senator, my passion will be to serve minority communities here at WSU especially, and highlight some of the things that make us great, and also address some of the inequalities that we face here at WSU. So I'm open to questions if anyone has them.
Are there any questions? Yes, Senator, sorry, I can't see you. Sandy, thank you.
So how do you hope to make our campus a more inclusive and safe space for backgrounds of all students, faculty, and our WSU community?
So one thing I'm really excited about is I think this semester is a good opportunity for SGA to get students involved and to really hear more student voices and to get feedback about how students, especially underserved students, are like being affected by COVID, being affected by the semester starting back up again. So I think once we bring students to the table and like with the Diversity Week, putting ourselves out there, I think when we lead with that foot, then we can start adjusting to some of the things we hear back from them.
Are there any other questions? Senator McCrory.
Yeah, free speech is under attack on many university campuses. So I'd like to see if you would promise us that you would not vote in favor of any legislation that would seek to punish students or faculty.
Point of
for-
order.
Point of order? Who had the point of order?
Yeah.
Yes, Senator Thompson.
Okay. Here's the general challenge. The question might be fine, but there's no way that the question he is asking can be answered by the nominee, because in order to take a stance on free speech, one would first have to make a judgment on what does or does not constitute free speech or a violation of free speech. As there is no way in which this nominee can answer this question without fundamentally overstepping the expectations and abilities of their position within the legislative branch, this line of questioning should cease, as no answer can be given.
Thank you, Senator Thompson. I have previously entertained this line of questioning because I feel that occasionally the legislature will take a stance on situations that include free speech. For example, last year there were some legislative stances on an incident that occurred at a fraternity. So yes, I have been entertaining these questions as germane on those grounds. I would say that, if the nominee cannot give a sufficient answer, then that's up to the nominee. And if it doesn't please the senator who is asking, then frankly, that's not the nominee's problem. I would agree that we should try and refrain from asking nominees to promise us anything. Those are typically considered charged questions in the realm of Robert's rules. So if you could make your questions more general, I think that would appease kind of the sentiment of what Senator Thompson is saying. But I do understand your concern, but I do consider the questions germane.
So my response to that question would be that.
Point of order.
Yes, sorry, Senator McCrory, you still have the floor.
Right, yeah. Would you be open to passing legislation that would target anybody for hate speech, what the neo-Marxists would determine to be hate speech?
So my answer to your question would be that I think right now it's important for all of us senators to understand what exactly your line of questioning is hoping to address, because it's a valid concern for all of us, because especially I think it was something SGA was doing that, or it was a professor, and it had to do with preferred pronouns here at WSU when I was student advocate. And it started getting into the realm of what is and isn't or should and shouldn't be attacked. So I think right now, since that is being debated, it's a valid concern, but we should all become more knowledgeable about how to properly represent our students and the students that are marginalized by hate speech. So I would definitely say that we could all become a little more educated about both the harms that are concerning students and how we can protect students from those harms of hate speech.
Okay, are there any other questions? Senator Clerk.
Yeah, so since you said this is your senior year, do you have maybe, since you have been in SGA before, do you have like a plan of what are some things that you're wanting to attack head on firstly? And predominantly, how can your previous experiences benefit you now?
So before in my position as student advocate, I couldn't do so much legislating, or I didn't work with the Senate as much as I wish I could have at the time. So I think now I'm excited to get into legislating and to write up recommendations to the university, and also get us out of like this room and also back with students and representing them and like putting our faces and our voices out there. So I think that's where we're going to start off right off the bat. But as for legislation, I think especially in our committee, we've talked already about certain things like the minimum wage for students here at WSU, the service buildings that, like counseling and prevention. So I'll definitely be behind some of those initiatives that are already being discussed. But my passions also involve just uplifting the underserved students that will be here. So I think for me, that's going to look like COVID and how that really impacted students, and how, since it's not gone away, that we can continue to represent students in that way from now forward.
Are there any other questions? If there are no more, Senator McCrory with a follow-up.
I would agree with you that educating ourselves about neo-Marxist inventions like hate speech we all should be doing that for sure. But I would hope, basically I'm asking that you would answer my question. Let me just rephrase my question. While we all should be more educated on neo-Marxist concepts like that, would you be in favor of passing any kind of legislation that would try to enforce those kinds of concepts upon people?
So my interest as an underserved senator will be to further understand. I know the limitations of the university when it comes to like the legal debates between hate speech and such, and protections of the university. And of course, the students that work here, that's a separate thing as well. So I think that's a broad question, but in my position, I'll be like very much advocating for students to not be affected by anything that's going to attack a protected class, such as age, race, disability, such, and et cetera. So I will, as a senator, definitely be behind legislation that protects students from that type of discrimination on those protected classes. And then I think I'll also be behind education efforts that would help more students and other senators understand how we can advocate more about that. Does that answer your question?
Thank you. Are there any other questions for the nominee? Seeing none, thank you very much.
Thank
You may stay or leave for debate, whatever you wish. So.
Oh, I'll go back.
All right, so we will now move into the debate period at this time. I will entertain any debate in favor of the nominee. Yes, Senator Warden.
All right, so although I haven't gotten the chance to fully meet Josie, I actually have her in my committee with Red, and and what we kind of discussed today, she seemed very hopeful in like our future plans, and she seemed really determined to get back into SGA as she had done previously. And I have a very high optimistic like view of her right now, so I totally am going to vote for her if everyone would do the same.
Okay, I will now be entertaining any discussion in opposition. Senator McCrory.
I will certainly be voting against this nominee because whenever we try to protect some group of individuals from speech that falls within the bounds of free speech, logically speaking, then we actually punish and violate the free speech rights of whoever it was that offended them. And I think this is egregious and it's disgusting, but this is the country that we live in now, so.
And any discussion in favor, Senator Brantley?
I would just like to say that I'll be voting in favor of Josie. I think it's very commendable that she's trying to be an underserved senator and that she wants to try to uplift these marginalized communities and protect them. And I think everybody should do the same because she's good. She knows what she's doing. Vote for Josie.
Is there anyone wishing to speak in opposition to the nominee? Seeing none, in favor? Start with Senator Majors.
Yeah. I cannot stress enough that it's 100% in contradiction with the mission of our body and the universities as a whole to reject individuals simply because we disagree with them, even on issues that we care deeply about. Universities are laboratories of democracy and free thought, but also a space for all to feel welcome, to learn, and prosper. It's completely antithetical to those missions to reject Senator Caudillo, who is obviously very qualified, intelligent, and passionate about helping students, merely on the grounds that we disagree with her opinions. Further, on an issue that is judicial in nature regardless. And I also think it's a misrepresentation of what the individual said to say that they would be in opposition to free speech. They simply said they'd like to protect certain individuals, and I don't think that's antithetical to free speech. I think this is a great candidate, and I urge everyone to vote in favor.
Is there anyone else wanting to speak in opposition? And in favor? Senator Thompson?
Yeah, I love this candidate. Their responses were very thought out and addressed what was very important about the topic. And despite the inflammatory remarks, this nominee did a wonderful job of expressing it. And what should really be worked on with educating students, including members of this body, which I believe is very important. So I'll be voting in favor of this nominee.
Thank you, Senator Thompson. Is there anyone wishing to speak in opposition? And in favor, Senator Martin.
One last time, I'm going to speak in favor of this nominee. I met her in our committee meeting just before this. I'm blown away by just the professionalism and experience that she has. She was able to answer questions of freshman senators better than I was. And not to mention that I think her ability to stand up here before all of you and answer questions that border on interrogation and harassment calmly and coolly is a humongous deal, and shows that she is completely capable of being part of this Senate. So I'll be voting in favor.
Thank you, Senator Martin. Is there anyone wishing to speak in opposition? And in favor? Yes, Senator Short. Sorry, it's hard to see back there.
Hi, I have worked with this nominee both in the Senate and in the executive branch, and through all of these experiences, I have learned that she is so good at representing students and so good at hearing their concerns and doing everything that she can to ensure that their voices are heard, no matter their political beliefs or whatever else. And I would highly encourage a yes vote on this candidate. Thank you.
Is there anyone wishing to speak in opposition? And in favor? Yes, Senator Mosqueda.
Just hearing her responses here and knowing how she can network with both MGC and outside of that, you can hear her professionalism and also her experience within SGA, which is really good for us right now. Also making the point that we also shouldn't make her judgments off of one question again, especially knowing her experience and not knowing her as a person. So just a point to make.
Thank you, Senator Mosqueda. Is there anyone willing to speak in opposition? And in favor? All right, seeing none, we'll move into the voting period at this time. Please make sure your eye clickers are on. A is yes, B is no, and C is abstain.
$35 in favor, 3 against, and 0 abstention. The motion carries.
Okay, that is the last item in considering in pending business, so we'll move on to the consideration of new business. Item A, the clerk shall read.
SR-64-005, Speaker of the Senate Jacob Tubak introduced the following: an act concerning the appointment of student senators to the standing committees of the Student Senate.
Okay, so we're going to have to amend this bill again because there was a tabling. So the first name, I believe, on the bill of Mr. Patori is going to be removed, and now Senator Cadillo will be installed to the Safety and Student Services Committee. So that's all this resolution does. But after that amendment, is there any discussion? Seeing none, we will move into the voting period. A is yes, B is no, C is abstain.
Thirty-seven in favor, 0 against, and 1 abstention. The motion carries.
Okay, thank you. Now we'll move into the consideration of new business. Item B, the clerk shall read.
FB-64-002, Treasurer James introduced the following: an act concerning the allocation and expenditure of the Organization Appropriations Fund.
All right, and knowing that this is a pretty lengthy bill, I believe Senator Clerk with Budget and Finance is going to come speak, as well as Treasurer James and possibly Pro Temp Lesnick, or maybe not. No? Okay. Oh, Bailey Sandy, sorry. My bad.
All right. So, as I said at the beginning of the meeting, this is the biggest thing so far that the Budget and Finance Committee has done. They were emailed a copy of the code. All right. If you pull up an email of the bill, it gives everything that we have allocated. There are certain groups that did not receive anything at all. Now, to be clear, the reason why, there are only 2 reasons. The reason why they did not receive anything was either A, they did not attend the meetings that we had set up, or B, they had, what they were asking for was on a maybe. What they were asking for was, this might happen, and this is what we need. We do not know. A lot of the a lot of the qualifications, I guess is a word to say, of why we cut or allocated a certain amount of money to each group was based on what the groups, how they presented to us, what information they gave to us. A lot of these groups submitted things over the summer, and we've had these for a while. When they presented to us, just said, well, I need money. If they don't give us any information behind it, it's even with us asking questions, it's hard for us to be able to judge when we don't have any information. So if you look through all of these, there were a few that were cut a little bit. There were a few that were cut a lot. A couple of the members of my committee, we started at a baseline, went through every single line item. Then from there, we had $100,000 to mess with. Then from there, at the end, if we were able to allocate more, we did. We did not, I guess, discriminate or unfairly judge any group. If, like for myself, I am a music educator here at WSU. There are 2 music groups that I either A, started, or B, was attendance with. I abstained from them, and I did not talk during deliberations at all. There were, as I said, with Bailey, she was a part of the College of Democrats. The group, the Democrats, she did not vote, nor did she talk during that as well. Any of the people that were in the committee did the same thing. So there were a few, 2 groups specifically that came from student fees, and they came into this process as well. Just to be clear, this process does not have a cap. Like, they can request $1 billion. Doesn't mean they're going to get it, but they can still ask for that. The different process that the Budget and Finance Committee does have a limit. They cannot ask above that certain limit. Treasurer James, am I leaving anything out? I'm open for questions for this bill.
Are there any questions For Senator Kirk? Okay.
No, there's a question.
Oh, sorry. Senator Diggs? Yes.
Just citing something you said during, I believe, maybe your committee report. I believe you talked about how this is a initial organization appropriations bill. Is that with the intent that there's going to be additional ones down the line, or is this just a starting point for the Budget and Finance Committee?
So, Treasurer James can correct me if I'm wrong, but this is the first one that we've done. And going further, there will be, when they're going to be, if they're going to be the same time as we've done as of right now, I'm going to refer to Gabriel Fonseca, Advisor Fonseca.
Senator, this piece is different than what the chair talked earlier this morning. Wow. It's been a day. Earlier this evening, so the student government has 3 funding processes that after student fees approves the budget and then the Senate approves it. One of them is our individual funding, which is awarded to individuals. Another one is our organization funding, which is a reimbursement supplemental funding where organizations submit a request and the committee recommends a dollar amount to reimburse them by. This process that the Senate is currently processing is our organization appropriations process. Yes, for reference, we should probably work on changing these names because they sound too familiar. This process is giving these organizations this budget for the year, so we won't ever see them come back to the Senate for requesting dollars since they're unable to participate in our other process. So what the Senator mentioned earlier was the other process that organizations can go through who decided not to go through this process. Does that answer your question? Thank you.
Speaker 2, can I be clear on something else? Also, additionally, the other, like Advisor Fonseca just said, the other processes are a reimbursement process. This is not. However, with this process, they cannot come back again to the student government within this fiscal year. Yes, thank you. Within this fiscal year, they cannot come back. So when we do this process again, that's when they would be able to come back again because this is designed for the full fiscal year report.
Are there any other questions? Okay. Senator Majors, yeah.
Yeah, I know you mentioned some of the reasoning as to why you didn't give certain groups any money at all. I was just wondering specifically, since I am within the Honors College, why the Wichita Honors Events and Activities team didn't receive anything, if you remembered specifically as to why.
I'm going to refer to Treasurer James.
Yeah, so as Senator Kirk mentioned before, with this full year funding, we have certain rules and regulations that you have to abide by since it's state dollars. And one of those rules is, I don't know to correctly quote it, but it basically, you can't discriminate against any student that wants to be involved in a group. And according to the WHEAT's constitution, you have to be an honors member. So that disqualifies every other student that isn't an honor student from being in WHEAT. So that's basically discriminating against the other students in the community.
Are there any other questions? Yep, Senator Majors.
Sorry, not to continue this line of questioning for too long, but I know that most of these groups are specialized. Is it just that the honors group specifically had within their like requirements that you're being an honor student and no other organizations have those requirements that you're engineering or whatever it may be?
Right, yeah, because for example, some like racing teams like Formula, stuff like that, you don't have to be engineer to be a part of it. Obviously, like, they have a lot of engineers and a lot of people that want to do it are engineers, but there's no there's no wording that says you only have to be engineer.
Senator Short.
This is just a point of clarification. There's like fraternities on this list. I'm not allowed to join a fraternity. I have tried, to be fair.
I will defer this to Advisor Fonseca.
Those are not Greek organizations, those are honor societies. So for reference, to further explain a little bit more, right? Any student can join an honor society. Sure, there are probably membership requirements. According to some language within the organizations in question, it specifically says you have to be an honor student to be a member. It doesn't say any student can, and unless you're admitted into the honors college, which is probably something that we're going to refer to Ways and Means to review, because organizations can't, I don't like the word discriminate, so I'm not going to use that. They can't prohibit students from joining organizations. Now, they can have certain membership requirements, but that can't be the base of to even be considered for it. And so I think that's something that Ways and Means will need to evaluate to make sure that they're in compliance with our statute. That could probably totally have been an oversight from when they were approved years ago. But that is why they're not going through this funding process, since the statute that governs organizational appropriations said that this money has to be open to all students to be to attend events with, while our other funding does not say that.
I'm sorry, I'd like to ask a question now, if that's okay. So to be a member of the organization is not different than to like be invited to the organization's events, or is that what you're saying? Like they have to be able to let everyone be a member of the organization, or is it their specific events that they're using the funding for, everyone has to be invited?
So my answer then, in both, because I'm going to say those are two different questions. So any student can have the opportunity to join an organization. It doesn't mean you always will become one, because all of our organizations all have membership requirements. For example, right, an honor society, you have to be initiated into the honor society to join it, but any student can say, I want to do it, and just go through the membership process. So that's different from this piece of funding. I think in the presentation, it was unclear who the target audience for those events were. And so that was what, not speaking for the committee, but being a part of those conversations, I think that's what led to that decision, that the target audience of who it was for was unclear, and therefore could have been a possibility of not being open to, not meeting that piece of the statute. Now, I will say, right, it does not exclude them from getting student government funding in the future. By not receiving funding through this pool, they are still eligible to receive funding through the other pool. So I can just looking at this new process with the new policies and rules we have in place for it, that is my assumption of what the committee ultimately decided, was that there was unclear presentation of in the application and in the presentation. But again, right, it does not exclude them from student government funding. They'll be able to capitalize on the other piece of it.
Thank you. I believe Senator Glenn also had a question.
Yes, and I believe Advisor Fonseca kind of spoke to this, but I'm just clarifying that some of these that got way less than what they requested, specifically line 24, Shocker Racing, Formula, like they will no longer be able to come to you to get reimbursement throughout this entire fiscal year. So they are limited to only spend $3,500 this year.
So for those Shocker Formula and Baja, they came out of student fees and into this group because student fees isn't for student organizations. And when they came out of student fees, they had a reserve account, which had, I don't know the exact amounts for both, but it had enough money for them to fully do everything that they wanted to do this year that they lined out for us. So on the paper, it says we're giving them only X amount of dollars, but in their accounts, they have more than that.
To also be clear as well, we didn't just get, with the reserves and with that, we didn't just give them enough to be able to do what they needed. We gave them enough to do what they needed to still have some left over in their reserves.
And I also want to add, the reasoning behind it is we've got to spend down those reserves so that they don't continue to transfer year to year, since that is student fee money and they're no longer student fee eligible. So my advice to the committee and my advice to even the Senate, and when you consider this for vote next meeting, if we don't, this sounds bad, if we don't force them to spend down the reserves, then that money will just, student money will continue to sit there and not be utilized. And so this is a good practice for us to make that formal transition of them leaving this student fee pool and into this pool. So this is a good decision to let them rely on that pile of money, and I will say pile because it's in the upper 30s, so that they can utilize it, and then we still met them with the corner of it as well.
Are there any other questions? Okay, thank you guys very much. Seeing no more questions, this is the first read of this bill. It's not been considered timely, so you will have technically until next meeting to review it, and then we will discuss and vote on this bill at the next meeting. So that'll be 2 weeks. So in the meantime, you know, if you have any questions while you're reviewing it, feel free to send out emails and ask those questions so that, you know, we might be able to save some time next meeting. And other than that, we will move into our next item, which is adjournment. So I just wanted to remind everyone real quick that because of the kind of shortness of this meeting, we're going to adjourn into caucuses. So if everyone would please try and gather together with their caucus groups, which is by your college, that would be great. And hopefully, you know, try and figure out somebody who can help lead the initiative of the caucuses tonight. And Advisor Fonseca.
For reference, honors, you do not have a caucus, so you will go to your primary college. So if you are an honor student but have your degrees in engineering, you'll go to the engineering caucus because the honors college does not have one. Same with the graduate school, you'll go to your primary college, your secondary college, because I guess graduate school is yours. So your secondary college, so if you're a business student, you'll go to the business caucus from there. These meetings are not, you can have them wherever, but the objective of what we need you to accomplish is electing a caucus leader, so the person who will be the spokesperson for your caucus, as well as maybe setting a time or a group meeting or something that you all can chat and engage with and start looking and thinking about some things to deal with, specifically about issues impacting your college, not the general student body. So again, you're breaking into your colleges, that is your caucus. Once you've completed those things, then you're good to go for the evening.
One other thing I want to say is next week is the State of the Student Body. So instead of a Senate meeting next week, we're having State of Student Body in this room at 7 o'clock. So business professional, if you're a senator, I would say, masks are still required in the chamber, so you'll have to wear masks. And then there will be events throughout the day, so just keep your eyes open. If anyone wants to volunteer for the events, please look to the email that Vice President Gum sent out. If you're free on that day, that would be great to see everybody there. So if there's no objection, we will adjourn.
For reference, again, you are going to your colleges, not to your main seat. So if you're breaking into your colleges, even if you are not a college senator, you will still go to the caucus in which you are a college student in.